I spent over $3,200 eating at Disney World's most expensive restaurants. We're talking multi-hour chef-curated menus, $400 dinners, and dishes that cost more than a park ticket. Today, we're starting at pricey and climbing all the way up to "are you kidding me" levels. The mission? To see which meals are worth the splurge and which I will never, ever book again. Let's start at level 1, pricey but accessible. For date nights, big birthdays, or a taste of fine dining without what we'll call final boss pricing. Our first entry at level 1, California Grill. I love this restaurant. I've been a lot with my family over the years, and I recommend it a lot, although they did switch to a prefix, which I don't love, but still really tasty food. Pricing-wise, you're gonna find the prefix priced at $89 per adult plus upcharges. For the atmosphere, expect floor-to-ceiling windows, 15th floor views of Magic Kingdom, which means nightly fireworks viewing, plus a pretty cool open kitchen. This spot has something of a California fusion menu, so a lot going on here. There's award-winning sushi, but also like legendary goat cheese ravioli. If you book a meal at California Grill, you could find yourself eating a sushi roll that costs more than a meal for two at a quick service restaurant in the parks. But you'd be doing it while watching Happily Ever After from one of the coolest vantage points there is. For each restaurant, I'm gonna call out the wildest and craziest and weirdest thing on the menu. In this case, for $115, you can get Osetra caviar as a starter. That is expensive, and I imagine not a very large portion. They also have Wagyu strip loin at $26 per ounce, but there's a purchase minimum where you have to get a certain number of ounces. For reference, that Wagyu on its own could buy you about 16 Mickey pretzels. So what kind of person eats at California Grill? Families celebrating, couples on date nights, and first taste fine diners who are thinking of branching into that world. The California Grill verdict: it's fine dining, but for everyone. An approachable menu, incredible views, and perfect for a special night without breaking into the insane territory that we're going to go into later. Our other level 1, Topolino's Terrace at Riviera Resort. Flavors of the Riviera is the lengthy subtitle to this restaurant. $35 to $60 entrees is kind of the pricing here, so still in a pretty affordable range, but pricey upscale. Think elegance, think modern, think stunning rooftop terrace with a view of Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And now you're thinking Topolino's Terrace. Now, most of the menu is actually really just in kind of nice night out pricing territory, but it's elevated by the fact that you can step out at sunset to watch the sunset over 2 parks and even the fireworks a little bit later. Plus, they do have some more extravagant things on the menu, like a $61 Grand Marnier 1881 pour. To compare, that liquor shot, 10 Dole Whips. This restaurant might be for you if you would find yourself at home among guests who are maybe doing proposal dinners, anniversary trips, or are just some serious Instagram sunset chasers. My verdict here, another one that's just for everyone. A gorgeous blend of Mediterranean flavors with some sprinkles of Disney magic, beautiful atmosphere and location, and the dinner feels exclusive and upscale, but still extremely welcoming. But if you're ready for adventurous items and meals that feel a little bit more like art than dinner, let's take it to level 2. Level 2, the signature experience. Disney has a thing called signature dining. These are going to be the most expensive and best restaurants in Disney World. There are signature restaurants in a lot of the hotels, a lot of the parks, and pretty much everything on this list is a signature restaurant. But we're talking about a little bit more of signature in vibe. The 2 restaurants at level 2 I consider singular experiences. You can really only have an experience like this in these 2 spots. Think slower paced intentional dining for more adventurous palates. Our first is Jiko, the cooking place at Animal Kingdom Lodge. This restaurant is an African restaurant that is very upscale and considered one of the most romantic in Disney World. Speaking of which, yes, that atmosphere is romantic and cozy, but it also features a warm, rich design with beautiful and subtle African influences. Price-wise, the entrees at this one are going to be between $40 and a little bit over $60, so it's on the pricier side. Something that knocks this restaurant into over-the-top territory is that it does feature, along with the rest of the resort, the largest South African wine collection in the United States. To call out a particularly expensive item on the menu, they do have a Beau de Marot crusted filet mignon. I don't know how you crust something with bone marrow, and I don't think I want to find out. That sounds like something that would be a descriptor that the police say in a serial killer show. Also, though, I would like to eat it, but not in those two. Separate the two contexts. Yeah, I've gone somewhere with this that I shouldn't have gone. This restaurant is great for foodies, resort guests escaping the park, and adventurous eaters, and it is a longtime favorite by a lot of the AllEars team because it's a relatively consistent and wonderful experience. One thing that's pretty true about Disney restaurants is they do lack a bit of consistency. Jiko, I have found that to not be the case. Now, if that filet is too pricey for you, you could instead spend that $62 on 9 turkey legs. I mean, to be fair, if we're doing like a per ounce comparison, that's like a lot of meat compared to not much. Our verdict for Jiko, incredible service and incredible flavors as well. Hidden gem status still intact, so this one hasn't been moved into this world of being super, super popular where it's always super crowded and loud. I think because the menu is more adventurous, it kind of stays under the radar and like a nice escape from the Disney buzz. Certainly worth the trip if you're interested in stepping outside of the typical Disney palette. Our other level 2, and spoiler alert, this one is my favorite on our list. It's Takumi-Tei. Takumi-Tei is in Epcot in the Japan Pavilion, and it is an authentic Japanese restaurant. This restaurant is owned and run by a Japanese company and is the most authentic Japanese food that I've had outside of Japan. Now, we are moving into a new sort of price range with this one. The menu is about $250 per person. They do have split courses where you can do not the whole omakase or tasting menu for about $150. But regardless, you're spending a lot of dough to eat at this restaurant. And that doesn't include drinks or pairings. The atmosphere is peaceful, refined, and inspired by the natural beauty of Japan. There's actually a whole sort of plot to the atmosphere. Takumi-Tei means house of the artisan, and there are 5 different dining rooms at the restaurant that are each inspired by a different natural element. Water, stone, earth, wood, and paper. Think dim lighting, no windows, soft music. And it's not no windows in like a no windows and no doors kind of way. It's more no windows in a you forget you're in Epcot at all and you might as well be in Japan kind of way. The omakase experience is the main dining situation here. The chef does choose your courses for this, and it is pretty pricey. To be honest, each plate kind of feels like it belongs in a museum, almost too beautiful to eat, and then the flavors bring it to a whole nother level after that. To call out a particularly expensive drink, there is a $230 glass of wine, Kinzo Estate Murasaki wine to be specific, which if you decided not to have the wine, could buy you 37 Mickey pretzels to add to your collection. This restaurant has a little bit of a more niche crowd that dines here. These are folks that enjoy incredibly elegant dining and extremely fine dining experience. Kids under 10 are absolutely not allowed. And those who are seeking culinary artistry, quiet elegance, or authentic Japanese food at an elevated level tend to book tables here. Verdict on Takumi-Tei, this is my personal favorite. It is not for everyone. If you're not into authentic Japanese cuisine, a lot of seafood, some more adventurous textures, or really drawn out meals, this one does take a while. And it's in a park, so you have to have paid for park admission to get there, then this restaurant might feel a little bit more like an obligation or homework than magic. That said, I do want to shout this out as having the best service that I have ever experienced anywhere, Disney World and beyond. And Disney World already has incredible service, so the fact that Takumi-Tei is another cut above is just, I didn't think that was an option. I thought we were at the max, but no, Takumi-Tei's got him beat. Level 3 is where things get upscale, intimate, and popular, often booked out for weeks in advance. We're talking about the Elite Squad. That's the cool name I'm giving restaurants in Level 3. Elite Squad. Narcoossee's sits in Level 3. This is located at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. It is on the water. It is a seafood-focused restaurant where appetizers range from $16 to $49, and entrees range from $32 to $89. So we've stepped up a bit here, maybe not from the omakase, but from the others we've talked about. The atmosphere is panoramic views of Seven Seas Lagoon, including Cinderella Castle, a beautiful upscale coastal theme in the decor, and you'll find that it's very romantic and airy. Now, for our over-the-top factor for this one, I do want to mention an $89 surf and turf. Of course, that's a lot of money for an entree. However, I'm actually going to give this one to the almond cheesecake. Yes, $89 seafood steak dinner is great, but the almond cheesecake is my single favorite sweet dessert on all of Disney World property, and one of my favorites that I've ever had in my entire life. I've heard people mention it before, And I was like, well, that can't be that good. I don't even like cheesecake that much. I was wrong. It's so good. If you can just go sit at the bar and order the cheesecake and a drink, do it. Do it. Try it. If you can eat almonds, try it. You'll find this restaurant full of seafood lovers, anniversary couples, and families, which can be a good and a bad thing. I know how hard it is to pass up on a restaurant because you can't bring your kids, so it's awesome that's an option here. But at the same time, just be warned, kids are welcome in this restaurant, even though it is a little upscale. I have seen it be a little noisy, be a little messy, thanks to kids and families running around. So pros and cons with that one, but good to know. Now, if you pass on the $90 surf and turf, you could use that money elsewhere, like to buy 8 orders of corn dog nuggets, which is 10 corn dog nuggets each. So you could buy 80 corn dog nuggets. That would be wild. Our verdict here, this is a top tier Disney experience that I absolutely recommend that still feels warm and welcoming. Our other level 3 brings us to another prefix where you have no choice but to pay $195 per person for that dinner. This is Monsieur Paul in the France Pavilion in Epcot. It is another of the most expensive and fanciest restaurants in Disney World, and like Takumi-Tei, and what we'll talk about a little later that gets wild, this one is one of the finest dining experiences in Disney World. It is a dim, intimate, and very quiet space that is elegant, refined, and located just above Chefs de France. You find the entrance on the back of the restaurant and climb some stairs to get up to the actual dining space. Of course, our over-the-top factor here is that it is a $200 prefix meal. These are going to be smaller portions, a lot of courses, and everything is plated like art. This restaurant is great for those who love French food or France in general, folks that are really trying to experience all of the authentic international food that Epcot has to offer, and anyone who wants to pretend that they're dining in Paris without the flight cost. Objectively, $200 per head is cheaper than it would take to fly to Paris from most places, unless you're in Europe. Then I would guess it would probably be more expensive to come here. But you know. Now, if you decide not to go to Monsieur Paul, you could get 31 churros with $195. But churros in Disney World are only okay, and Monsieur Paul food was much better than only okay. It was very, very good, actually. Indulgent, creamy, rich, buttery, very French, very filling, very delicious. Now, this meal was a little bit much for me personally, just on how rich it was, but it's a great restaurant, and it's one of the 3 true fine dining experiences that doesn't feel quite as much like a presentation or a show as Takumi-Tei and our final boss. It feels more nice meal than bucket list, but you still get some aspects of fine dining in incredible service, little presentations of your meal, and the prefix menu that is decided by the chef. This is a little step between the nicer restaurants that are not chef-curated coursed menus and Takumi-Tei and our final boss. I recommend it, but you have to really love French food. This one did leave me feeling a little sick, but that's more me than the restaurant's fault. It is my least favorite of the true fine dining experiences. And speaking of which, it's probably time to talk about the final boss. Editor, can you play some hype up music? Final boss. The final boss. Victoria and Albert's at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. Dinner in the dining room is $295 per person. The chef's table, $425 per person. If you're looking for a wine pairing, expect an additional $155 to $315 per person. And if you cancel within 5 days, $100 per person. Easily the most expensive restaurant in Disney World. With wine, it is not uncommon for a couple to spend around $1,000 for an experience in this restaurant for one dinner. So what makes Victoria and Albert's worth that kind of spend? Well, for one, the atmosphere. The dining room itself is an elegant garden-inspired Victorian dining room that often comes with a live harpist playing while you eat. You'll see Victorian murals with butterflies and flowers, and everyone there will be dressed to the nines because there's a dress code to make sure that they are. No kids under 10 at this one either. The chef's table, which is more expensive, has you dining right in the kitchen, where the chefs prepare their meal and interact with you during the entire course experience. I believe I had 9 courses when I went there. It was a lot. And it takes a while. There are so many courses, and every course comes with a multi-minute presentation from your server who will explain the origin of the ingredients, the inspirations behind the dish, and the execution of the dish as well. You'll also have a wine server who explains everything about the wine and why the pairings make sense if you choose to do a pairing. Now, all of that is pretty over the top, but the most over the top thing that you can do at Victoria and Albert's is the chef's table. This is $425 per person. It is a personalized multi-course meal that the chefs prepare right in front of you. And they say it takes up to 4 hours, but I've heard people talk about it taking even longer. Not that they were complaining because it was so good. Now, if that doesn't prove it to you, this spot also has some significant accolades. It recently got its first Michelin star in 2024. It's had the AAA 5 Diamond Award since 2000 for 25 years. And it's been a Forbes 5-star restaurant since 2018. If you're not as familiar with fine dining, those kinds of awards means that this restaurant is not only one of the best in Disney World, it's one of the best in Florida and in the country, and even on a list in the world when it has a Michelin star. But you might be asking, who is dropping that kind of dough on dinner? Who is dishing out $1,000 on dinner? Well, lots of folks. Honeymooners, luxury travelers for sure, anniversary trips, and serious food lovers. Additionally, Victoria and Albert's has status as a Disney bucket list item as one of the most, if not the most expensive Disney restaurant in the world. So lots of folks, even if they're not that into fine dining, do make a point to go to Victoria and Albert's just because it is such an important Disney milestone. You could actually do dinner here and skip the wine pairing, and with the money you saved from not doing the wine pairing, you could buy 48 Dole Whips. That's so much. The verdict on this one. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list spot. Impeccable service, flawless presentation, and unforgettable flavors from the chefs. But it's a serious time and money investment. I have done Victoria and Albert's, and for me, it is not what I would pick on this list. Despite it being easily the most impressive and upscale experience with some of the best flavors, it is also such a big money investment that there are others that give me this incredible, memorable experience without being so expensive. My favorites on this list were in level 2. One of them super expensive, and one of them you can get away with just being kind of a nicer dinner. But Victoria and Albert's is bucket list for a lot of folks. If you think it might be you, go look into it after watching this video. We've got a full review of both the meat eaters and plant-based versions of the experience, and we can tell you all about it. That said, every single restaurant that I've said so far has been worth it. They've been worth the splurge if it's something that you sound interested in. However, I'm going to quickly montage a couple that are not worth the splurge. Cinderella's Royal Table. You're paying for the princesses and to eat in the castle, not the plate. Be Our Guest. Theming, 10 out of 10. Food, 6 out of 10. Price for that experience, shaky. Yachtsman Steakhouse. Good steak, but not anything special for the price. Basically, Disney's most expensive restaurants aren't just about the food. Some sell atmosphere, some sell exclusivity, and a few actually sell a once-in-a-lifetime experience. If you're looking at dropping hundreds at a restaurant, know what you're really buying, because in Disney, meals can range from worth every penny to, wow, I actually really would have bought 512 Mickey bars. That's how many Mickey bars you can buy with the amount of money I've spent at these restaurants. If I handed you $500 for dinner in Disney World right now, tell me in the comments, where are you spending it? And don't say on churros or Mickey bars, even though that would be funny. If you're still here, like this video and drop this secret code in the comments so I know you made it all the way. And don't forget to subscribe. We upload tips, info, games, and more from Disney World and beyond all week because we're serious about fun here. I'll see you next time.